What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. Let's discuss Chris Sims' top five edge prospects. Literally, the list is fresh off the press, probably not even an hour old. So let's discuss it, guys. So, as we all know, the list goes as follows. If you haven't seen yet, it's kind of bubbling around the NFL draft community, even college football community on social media about how he ranked these five players. And the big dog, the number one guy, Will Anderson Jr., Alabama's star defensive end for the last couple of years, he has a number five. So the list goes as follows: Tyree Wilson, number one; Luke Van Ness, number two; Nolan Smith, number three; Will McDonald, four; and like I said earlier, Will Anderson, five. And as of right now, tier one only is Tyree Wilson. Tier two, Van Ness, Smith, and Donald. And tier three alone by himself is Will Anderson. Now, I will say, it sounds crazy, it sounds insane, but I slightly agree with Chris Sims. And I know Chris Sims been wilding out last couple of years since he's been, had his podcast and been with NBC Sports. He's made some wild statements, but I kind of agree with him. And my past videos kind of show it also. I did a video. I should look up the date before I start this video, but I did a video probably about 2 months ago now on Tyree Wilson and how I said he could be potentially better than Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. But I really went in on that video, not went in the bad way, but I really discussed the possibility of him being better than Will Anderson. I like Bama, and obviously I watch him a whole lot. I've done videos on him. I don't do too much college football, but when I do, Bama's probably involved some ways, somehow. They're a great program, obviously. Been watching them since I was a kid, all that good stuff, right? But I never really got on to Will Anderson. I seen him be great. I seen him have good moments. But you look at his tape, you look at his film, like Chris Sims said, he's not elite at any one thing. But hold on, let me let me back up a little bit before I get too far ahead of myself. I don't agree with him being number five. Let me go back and say that first. I don't agree with number five. I agree with two or three. So if you want to bump him up, leave Tyree Wilson one, which I'm fine with, which I said in my past video. Leave Tyree Wilson one, and you can throw in Will Anderson somewhere around two or three. So you can either bump down Luke Van Ness or you can bump down Nolan Smith at number three and put Will Anderson there. That's what I'm fine with, and I'm fine with that. But anybody else, Nolan Smith and Will McDonald can't happen. They can't be in front of Will Anderson, in my personal opinion. Only Luke Van Ness and Tyree Wilson. But and like I said, Luke is kind of tough too. But so right now, just with due respect for Will Anderson, what I've seen from him, I have him above Luke Van Ness, who's more of a potential base, same as Nolan Smith, more of a potential base player than Will Anderson is. But it is going to be a little struggle, in my personal opinion, for Will Anderson to perform outside of Nick Saban's scheme. I've took notes on him. I look at his film, I'm like, man, something isn't. It's cool. He's good. He's an overall great player. But if you break down each of his game, each part of his game and his technique, everything's okay. Everything's just okay. Leaving something to the side is leaving something to something to really to grasp and be like, okay, this is what he does at a great level. Everything is just good. He's an overall solid, good talent, but nothing great about him. And that's the strange thing about it. And you see a lot of his sacks, and you look back all his highlights. A lot of his sacks came off stunts. A lot of his sacks came off of blown coverages. No, blown blocking coverages. He was wide open by himself, free range at the quarterback. The QB didn't see him, held onto the ball a little bit too long, and boom, sack. And he definitely gets there quick. He definitely gets there in a hurry. He got good hand technique. He got good bull rush. He got a good everything. Everything's pretty solid, but nothing is great, and it's kind of tricky. And I mentioned also a past video I've done a couple days ago. I forgot what video it was, honestly, now. But I did a video somewhere involving the Arizona Cardinals. I forgot what video it was. But it was probably about a week or two ago now. And I even mentioned I have a video coming soon, which is going to be probably another day or two now. I have a video coming very soon on the Arizona Cardinals, the possibility of them trading number 3 overall pick uh, to whoever, Colts, whoever wants it, my Falcons, whoever, Commanders, whoever wants a quarterback, whoever wants a certain player, trade up, and the Cardinals can still possibly get Will Anderson if that's their target. I think they could trade back to around pick 7, pick 8, and still get Anderson. And that kind of falls in line with what I'm saying now about Tyree Wilson being held kind of in a higher stature than Will Anderson, in my opinion. And like I said in my Tyree Anderson video 2 months ago, it's all about potential, guys. I keep saying this for the last couple of years. I've been on YouTube. The draft is about big potential. Who has a bigger potential, bigger future, the bigger stock. And the bigger stock, in my personal opinion, is Tyree Wilson. Same as last year. Tyree Wilson kind of reminds you of Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall pick, who wasn't as good, or who at least in college wasn't as good as the guy from Michigan who went to the line. I forgot his name now. So I'm just trying to remember so many names. But what's the guy's name from Michigan? Aiden Hutchinson. Trayvon Walker didn't have as good numbers as Aiden Hutchinson did, or didn't look as good. You have also Kayvon Thibodeau, who was a higher prospect than Trayvon Walker the entire time until this last season, and then Trayvon went number 1. So Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau both had better careers college-wise than Trayvon Walker, but Trayvon Walker still went number 1 overall in kind of a weak quarterback class. And you throw these same, if you took out those guys and put in Tyree Wilson, Will Anderson, I think there's a shot that Tyree Wilson goes before Will Anderson. I really think it is. It's real slim, it's real close, but Tyree Wilson can give you similar things like Will Anderson. Not as quick, not as fast, but he can give you the same output and maybe even more, because he can slide into the inside and play the 3 tech and play the 5 tech. You know what I'm saying? Something that Anderson can't do, obviously. So he's an outside edge guy, which I think Wilson can do a little bit of everything, just like Trayvon Walker. So long story short, man, I don't agree all the way with Chris. I'm not going to take Will Anderson and just diminish what he's done in college and say, hey, he's not that good at all. But I definitely will say, hey, number 1 isn't solidified, is not set in stone. Now, he might be the first edge pick. That's fine. That's normal. Cool. He should be a pretty good pro. He should be a pretty good pro, but I don't see him being the great pro everyone think he might be. So let your expectation for him kind of temper a little bit, in my personal opinion. He's good. I don't know if he'll be great, and that's the thing about Will Anderson. A lot of stunts, a lot of free open hits on quarterbacks. Then you have a guy like Tyree Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, who can end up playing the edge spot, 7, 5 tech, 3 tech. He can go all the way from edge to defensive tackle. Something that a guy like Will Anderson can't do. Something like a guy like Jalen Carter can't do. Jalen Carter can't play on the edge. He's a big boy. He's staying inside. And that's what I was kind of saying about a guy like Trayvon Walker and Tyree Wilson. Those guys are so versatile. Versatility is a thing of the future. And you have a guy like Walker who's played edge, who's played inside some last year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I expect something similar maybe for Tyree Wilson in year 1 or in year 2. Depends on, how whoever team picks him, how they want to use him. Because he can gain more weight. He can add more muscle and more weight to his long, kind of thin frame. So we'll kind of see where it happens with him. But yeah, Chris Sims has some funny stuff sometimes, says some wild things, but this thing to me isn't one of them. I'm kind of on the same page. Not all the way. I'm halfway there. I wouldn't mind seeing Anderson go down to number 2, number 3, but number 5 behind McDonald, behind Smith is pushing it. I'll give you behind Luke Van Ness maybe by a slight edge, but maybe above him too in a slight edge. But behind Smith and McDonald, I can't give you that. I can't give you that, man. So that's it for the video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. Let's discuss Chris Sims' top 5 edge prospects. Literally, the list is fresh off the press, probably not even an hour old. So let's discuss it, guys. So as we all know, the list goes as follows. If you haven't seen yet, it's kind of, bubbling around the NFL draft community, even college football community on social media about how he ranked these 5 players. And, the big dog, the number one guy, Will Anderson Jr., Alabama's star defensive end for the last couple of years, he has a number 5. So the list goes as follows: Tyree Wilson, number 1; Luke Van Ness, number 2; Nolan Smith, number 3; Will McDonald, 4; and like I said earlier, Will Anderson, 5. And as of right now, tier 1 only is Tyree Wilson. Tier 2, Van Ness, Smith, and Donald. And tier 3 alone by himself is Will Anderson. Now, I will say, it sounds crazy, it sounds insane, but I slightly agree with Chris Sims. And I know Chris Sims been wilding out last couple of years since he's been, had his podcast and been with NBC Sports. And he's made some wild statements, but I kind of agree with him. And my past videos kind of show it also. I did a video. I should look up the date before I start this video, but I did a video probably about 2 months ago now on Tyree Wilson and how I said he could be potentially better than Will Anderson and Jalen Carter.